Only in Kentucky can a single county claim a riverfront tavern run by Daniel Boone himself, and a public square where novelists witnessed human auctions. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky. One county at a time. All 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Mason County. Mason County sits in northern Kentucky within the Outer Bluegrass region. The Ohio River forms the northern boundary. Today, the population is roughly 17,000. Human habitation in this river valley spans millennia. Indigenous cultures utilized the waterways for transportation, and archaeologists excavated the Fox Farm site, revealing a massive settlement that served as a village for the Fort Ancient culture. Inhabitants lived there between the years 1200 and 1400 CE. During excavations in the 1890s, researchers uncovered shell beads and pendants crafted from bear teeth. European settlement began earnestly in the 1780s. Pioneers traveled down the Ohio River on flatboats to seek land grants distributed after the Revolutionary War. The explorers found a natural harbor at the mouth of Limestone Creek. Simon Kenton arrived in 1775 to explore the area, but he temporarily abandoned the site to fight in the Revolution. He returned in 1784 and built a blockhouse near the river. In 1786, Arthur Fox and William Wood purchased land from Kenton. They laid out a grid for a town located a few miles inland from the water. They named the settlement Washington. It stands today as one of the oldest towns in Kentucky, holding the distinction of being the very first settlement in America named for George Washington. The village at the river landing grew concurrently as Daniel Boone established a tavern at the site. Boone and his wife Rebecca operated the tavern at the Limestone Landing starting around 1786. The outpost quickly became a popular destination for exhausted pioneers who had just survived the journey down the river. Boone was already a living legend at this time, thanks to a published biography that transformed him into a global celebrity. While pouring drinks and trading supplies, he also worked as a surveyor and served in the state legislature. He ran the business for a few years before mounting debt and legal troubles over land claims, forcing him to move upriver to Virginia. The Virginia legislature established Mason County in 1788. Lawmakers carved the territory from Bourbon County and named the jurisdiction for George Mason. He was the statesman who authored the Virginia Declaration of Rights. The original county boundaries encompassed a vast area that eventually split into 16 modern counties today. The river settlement officially adopted the name Maysville a decade later to honor John May, who had acquired the original land tract. Maysville flourished during the early 19th century as the town became a vital port. Workers built flatboats and shipped goods downstream to New Orleans. The county economy relied heavily on agriculture, and hemp emerged as the dominant crop. Farmers harvested the stalks, and factories in Maysville processed the fibers to create rope. This rope secured cotton bales across southern plantations, and as a result, Mason County ranked as the second largest hemp market in Kentucky during the 1830s. The transportation network expanded inland as an old bison trace evolved into a wagon road connecting Maysville to Lexington. The road became completely impassable during the rainy season, prompting the state legislature to authorize a turnpike company in 1829. Henry Clay championed a bill in Congress to fund the project with federal funds. He argued that the road was a vital part of the national highway system. Now, President Andrew Jackson despised Henry Clay and vetoed the bill in May of 1830. He argued that the federal government possessed no constitutional authority to fund an interstate project. The Maysville Road veto became a defining moment in American political history. It cemented the principles of Jacksonian democracy and severely limited federal spending on infrastructure. The Turnpike Company completed the road anyway using private investment, and today this route serves as U.S. Route 68. The agricultural economy relied entirely on enslaved labor. By 1860, the census recorded nearly 4,000 enslaved individuals living in Mason County. The county's location made it a critical focal point for the Underground Railroad because the free state of Ohio lay just across the water. Abolitionists operated in river towns like Ripley, helping fugitives navigate across the current to safety. The county generated international legal history regarding the institution of slavery. A man named Thornton Blackburn lived as an enslaved person in Washington. In 1833, Blackburn escaped with his wife and reached Detroit. Slave catchers located the couple and arranged for their return to Kentucky. A massive riot erupted in Detroit when an angry crowd surrounded the jail. This chaos allowed the Blackburns to escape across the border into Canada. The Kentucky owners petitioned the Canadian government for extradition, arguing that Blackburn had incited a riot. The Canadian courts refused their request, fighting that Blackburn would face severe punishment if returned. The ruling established a profound legal precedent. Canada would not return fugitives to the United States to face charges directly related to their escape from bondage. The atrocities of slavery drew attention from visitors. Harriet Beecher traveled to Washington in 1833. She stood outside the courthouse and watched an auction where men sold human beings as property. The experience horrified her, and she incorporated the imagery into her novel. She published Uncle Tom's Cabin in 1852. The book galvanized the abolitionist movement nationwide and shifted public opinion ahead of the Civil War. Kentucky maintained a policy of official neutrality when the Civil War erupted in 1861. Because Mason County bordered a free state, the population generally supported the Union cause. The Federal Army established fortifications in Maysville to protect the river traffic. The county did not host any major battles at the time, but the conflict took the form of cavalry raids. Confederate forces launched a surprise attack in June 1863, capturing Maysville and temporarily controlling the port. John Hunt Morgan led his Confederate raiders throughout the county the following year. The end of the war brought emancipation, allowing over 3,500 freedmen to begin building new lives. The county transitioned away from hemp production as the cotton industry collapsed in the South. Farmers shifted their focus to cultivating burley tobacco instead. Railroads arrived to complement the river traffic when the Louisville and Nashville Railroad laid tracks into Maysville in 1858. The combination of riverboats and freight trains turned Maysville into an industrial powerhouse. Investors constructed massive warehouses to store the tobacco harvests. The city hosted one of the largest loose-leaf tobacco auctions in the world by the dawn of the 20th century. Local businessmen built the Cox Building in 1887. The Washington Opera House opened its doors in 1898. Industry expanded beyond agriculture as mining operations extracted materials from the limestone bluffs. The Maysville Quarry developed into a massive facility that supplied lime for steel mills across the Midwest. The 20th century introduced modern infrastructure to the county. Officials constructed the Mays Lick Consolidated School in 1909. They combined 7 rural schoolhouses into a single brick facility, making it the first public high school in Kentucky to use a consolidated model. Engineers transformed the river crossing in 1931 when construction crews completed the Simon Kenton Memorial Bridge. The suspension spans almost 2,000 feet that links Maysville and Aberdeen. The city celebrated cultural milestones throughout the 20th century. Rosemary Clooney was born in Maysville in 1928 and eventually achieved global fame as a singer and actress. In 1953, the city hosted the premiere of her film The Stars Are Singing at the Russell Theater. Rosemary maintained deep ties to her hometown throughout her whole life, eventually founding a music festival to help fund the theater's restoration. Of course, the family legacy extends far beyond just Rosemary. Her brother, Nick Clooney, grew up in Maysville before building a respected career as a journalist and television host. Nick raised his son, George, in the region, and the younger Clooney attended school in Mason County before finding his own success in Hollywood. George returned to his roots in 2008 to host the premiere of his movie, Leatherheads, in downtown Maysville. Organizers held the event at the Washington Opera House, and fans crowded the streets to welcome the actor home. In recent years, the county has faced unprecedented decisions regarding land use. Between 2023 and 2026, technology companies proposed building massive facilities in Mason County. Planners targeted thousands of acres east of Maysville to construct server farms. The projects promised tremendous investment, but required enormous amounts of electricity to run the servers and millions of gallons of water to cool the equipment down. The proposals generated intense controversy. Property owners notified residents of a mobile home park that they must vacate the premises. Developers needed the land to make way for the corporate campus. Dozens of families faced sudden relocation and struggled to find affordable housing. Citizens packed the Planning Commission meetings to demand strict regulations. The Planning Commission approved preliminary plans in early 2026, setting the stage for a dramatic shift in the local economy. And by the way, as far as community names go, Dover was laid out by Arthur Fox in 1818 and was likely named after a port in England. Immigrants from Germany platted the town of Germantown in 1794. Mays Lick was settled by families from New Jersey who purchased land near Salt Spring owned by William May. The community gathers for annual events to celebrate its heritage. The Old Washington Festival takes place every April, transforming the historic district into a 19th century village, complete with working craftsmen. The town hosts the M2M Paddle Fest, inviting kayakers to race down the river. In October 2025, the city launched the Maysville International Festival to showcase multicultural food and performances. So, that's Mason County. What'd I get wrong this time?